All right, guys, we're gonna do a little video on the '95 Mustang GT intake manifold. Now, this is the same intake they used on the lower is the same one they've used on. I can't tell you how many years. I don't know the years exactly. Okay, grab the part number there. Okay. Now, I was originally planning on doing this up without welding or epoxy on it. And do what you can, because you see these serious. I mean, if you take a look at this run right here, look at the serious dog leg on this. I mean, it's really bad, right? So you take what you can out of it. A lot of this is all solid. You can move this over quite a bit, but it becomes a problem here. Okay, as you can see, I guess that was number 7. Number 7, I got a little thin on me, so I prepped these. They're all going to get a dose of epoxy, and I'm going to see what I can do with this intake. You know, the top of the top portion of this lower, there's not really much you can do with it. You know, just clean it up a little bit. But between the dog leg, there's a lot you can do in this area to help it out. I mean, all right, the gasket match is not done. I'm still roughing it out, but take a look at the size difference, the way it is stock. All right, a huge difference, right? Let's see if we can get some extra light in there. Doesn't really help. What? How about that? Does that make a difference? Look at the gunk in there. Ugh. You can see the air can barely make it around that sharp dog leg turn, right? And the outlet is quite a bit smaller. Okay, let's talk about the head that I'm testing it on right now. I've got the 3-bar gt40 on the bench right now. This is the second head. I was just comparing it to the first head. But of course, whenever you're comparing one head to the other head, be sure you're using the same valves, and the temperature makes a difference as well. Today is quite a bit hotter than when I tested the last head. Let's take a look at those. Okay. This was the final on the last head. Okay, I got it up to 242. I think I wanted originally to get it to 250. Pretty close. And then I did some testing at 35 inches to see how stable it was at the top end. And it was pretty darn good. Okay. Not fantastic in the mid-range. But not terrible either. Now, when I did this other one, it should be damn close, right? Take a look at 300 number. 192 versus 186. Way better, right? But it doesn't top out as good. So obviously, I did something different somewhere that I'm going to have to take a look at before they're finalized. I'd like to find out what gives me the higher mid-range and what gives me the higher top end. But in any case, this is the one that's on the bench right now. And we're going to compare these numbers to this intake, which I think is a 95 with the curved neck. right? And let's get them up. Yeah, extra dirty because the manifold's filthy. Okay. So this was the head, just with a 1204 and a little clay around it at 85 degrees. Okay. Now, as the day went on, it got a little warmer. I shouldn't say that. That's not, this is a different day. This is a different day. Forget the temperature. Okay, this was the full intake on the same head. I didn't even lift it off the bench. This is 2 different days. Sorry, guys. Take a look at what a beating that intake gives stock. All right, take a look at 300. You go from 192 to 132. It loses 60 CFM. Absolutely painful. Takes a nice swirl number, brings it to downright 0. Interesting, right? Interesting. Take a look at 500. 228 down to 140. Now that's completely stock throttle body, dirt on the intake inside the intake manifold, carbonized. But if you get something like this intake's got 95,000 miles on it, and the heads were clean as a whistle. So this was a good running car. Take a look at the top end, 233.8 down to 141. All right. Notice what the swirl does. It goes from 3,000 and change to 1,500 and change. Huge difference with the swirl, right? Huge difference. Okay, now over here I ported the lower. I should let you know that this is the worst port. Okay, it's the heavily dogleg port, and I didn't grind it enough to blow through yet, so I'm probably going to do some more work to it. But it's a first cut, so this is number 5, right? So I take number 5 and I port it out, and what do we gain? We go from 93 to 97 and change, 300, 132 to 150, right? 137, 163, 140, 166. Decent step up from porting, right? 140.8, 168. All right, she's done around 168. Now did our swirl change? A little bit. It's a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. This was really strange here. It would go from negative 37 to positive 35. So the way the air is going through that chamber, through the intake and through the chamber. Oh, I should add, I also did the throttle body. I need to show you guys the throttle body. Now, when I do the throttle body, it depends on my mood, of course, because that could be anywhere. I used a rough surface texture on the throttle body. And I actually like the rough surface texture on the throttle body. I'm sorry. This is stock upper and throttle body. This, I ported the throttle body. Okay, so when I compare this to this, the only thing that's changed is I did the throttle body. And we can look at that now. All right, 97.5 to 100, 138, 140, 158.6, 159, 166.3, 167, almost the same, right? 168, 168. All right, didn't make that big a difference. So what does that tell you about the throttle body? At the point we're at now with the intake, the throttle body is not holding it back, right? Did it change our swirl? Yeah, it did. We went from 503 here to 34. 450 here to 28. 42 to 20. We still got that crazy reversal here. Minus 24, positive 27. 483, 420. 1408, 1350, 1550, 1530. Those guys are pretty close. 1837, 1887. Okay. Should probably also show you some of the other runners on this intake. They don't really get any straighter than that. I mean, like I said before, it's damn near a tunnel ram, that port. So I do expect that to flow quite a bit better than the serious dogleg port. Alright, now I got it bolted up to the intake, but you can see what I do. I radius this edge. Alright, I bring this edge out, I texture the whole thing. This had quite a big step here. It was a smooth step, but it was still a step. And then all the way down at the bottom, there was a hard step. About 40 thousandths inch all the way around. You can see I just tapped the blade with the burr in a couple spots. Whenever you do a throttle body, do not grind where it seals. If you do, you've ruined it. It will not idle to save its life. Okay, ask me how I know. Yeah, it's got dirty Charlie fingerprints on it. But this porting work on this throttle body didn't make much difference because it's not a restriction for compared to the the intake that we're running at this point. I guess the question would be, how much power can we get out of 166 CFM? I'll leave that for a question, and you guys can answer it for me. All right. Now, let's take a quick look at the exhaust on head in question, if you guys really want to calculate it. Okay, exhaust is pretty darn good, and it was almost the same as the one before it. It was 167.2, 163, and that was a hotter day. So I'm going to take them as pretty damn close to each other. Okay, and if you put a pipe on it, 190 out of a tiny port, not bad. All right, guys. So who would even run something like this? Well, it would be a guy that has to have it look completely stock, but he wants to run way better, right? That's the only kind of guy that would do this, or somebody like me that doesn't know what the hell's going on. Ton of work, right, for not huge gains. But if you gain, I mean, we're gonna also flow the nice straight ports and see what we get out of them. Now, I've done the older GTs without the curved neck, the straight ones. Not this design. This is the different design. The older ones actually looks like a bigger plenum, which I like the bigger plenum. Those I've gotten them up to around, I think 160. I think I was able to get about 160 CFM through them through a fully done up E7 head. That sounds familiar. I did a thread on it on Speed Talk ages ago. I'm sure somebody could find it. All right, guys. Got plenty more work to do on this. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night.